This lesson will be an introduction to probability. We will be learning some terms to do with probability and how to apply them to questions. Probability is what defines the likelihood or chance of an event occurring. There are many terms that can appear when first starting probability. Some revision terms are sample space, outcome, and chance. Sample space are the possible events that can occur. For example, when you are given a coin, the sample space would be heads or tails. And if you are given a six-sided dice, the sample space would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the outcome is what event has occurred. So the chance is the likelihood of that outcome occurring. So with the example of the die, the outcome is just the number that has been rolled. So for example, you could have rolled a 6, and that is what the outcome is. And the likelihood of that occurring is a 1 in 6 chance for the die. This fraction is the value that the outcome has over the total number of outcomes. So the total number of outcomes is the sample space. And the outcome, so the total number of outcomes that have occurred, is here. So when you roll a dice, you can only land on one face, so it would be 1. And because of sample space, the number of sample spaces are 6, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you get 6. And so the fraction would be 1 over 6. So this can also be seen with the coin. The sample space is either heads or tails. And so the probability of getting a heads, so P for probability, equals 1, as there is only one chance of getting heads, over 2, as you have 2 sample spaces. So if you want to do another one, which is the probability of getting a heads or a tails, it would be over 2, as we know, as the sample space is 2. And because there are 2 outcomes, it would also be 2 on the top, which equals 1 whole. As when you flip a coin, it has to be either heads or tails, like as long as it doesn't go on its side. So as you can see, there's a specific way that I wrote it. So you start with P for probability. So what you are looking for here, close the bracket, and the outcome, which is the fraction, which can also be changed into a percentage, would be after the equal sign. Now we will move on to frequency tables. An experiment has been conducted where 3 dice have been rolled 100 times. The frequency table shows the number of 3s that have occurred in the outcome. So in this outcome, there were 0 3s, or for an example. So an example could be, out of the 50, 1, 2, 4. Here could be 1, 3, 6. For 2 3s that have occurred, there could be 3, 3, 1. And for all 3 outcomes to have landed on a 3 on the die, there would have been 3, 3, 3. So each number represents which die it was. So this is die 1, this is die 2, this is die 3. So on the first throw there was a 1, second there was a 2, and the third there was a 4. So with this data, you can look at the occurrence rate with the events, and you can write outcomes that the occurrence or probability you have when rolling the die and how frequent this was. So if you want to write down the probability that there were 0 number of 3s, you would write probability of 0 3 is equal to 50 times out of 100. And this equals 1 in 2, which equals 50%. Use this data and apply it to theoretically wonder what the occurrence rate would be for 0 threes to occur if you were to only roll it 10 times. And so you would get the percentage. So erase this. So you know it's 50%. So you only had 10 rolls. So you want to find 50% of 10, which equals 5. And so you know that if you only had 10 rolls, you would assume that maybe 5 of them would have 0 threes in them. And so by using this frequency table, we can get more data by finding the probability of what would happen if for there to be a 3 two or more times. So you would get the probability of 2 or more. So 2 equals 32 out of 100. And 3, so you add them, is 6 out of 100. Totaling to 38 out of 100. And so that is the chance that there would be a 2 or more out of the total experiment. So this has been an introduction to probability. I hope that you have learned something new. Thank you.